Once we get our first pull-ups, one of the very next goals we set ourselves is understanding how to get our hands on more reps. When I started my calisthenics journey some 3 years ago, hitting 5 reps was a real challenge. And while my pull-up numbers did increase, I spent about a year plateaued at a maximum reps of about 8 until I smashed through that and got to where I am today, where I can hit 17 pull-ups, a 200% increase from where I started. But this didn't come easy, and it took a lot of very deliberate things to get my pull-ups up to this level. So today I'll go through what I did and why I did it, because I can't see why this couldn't be replicated by anybody. Let's get into it. How you doing, Cali Crowd? Welcome back to the channel that makes calisthenics simple. Okay, so we've spoken on this channel about how to increase your reps before, and as far as a standardized approach to increasing reps for all exercises, the methods that I mentioned on the video on increasing max reps will work and certainly played a massive role in my own pull-up journey. But the techniques we speak about today are very specific to the pull-ups. They are levers that I pulled to get my pull-up game up, and the very first of these was increasing overhead mobility. Now, overhead mobility is something that is often associated with handstands or shoulder-specific exercises. So how does this relate to pull-ups? If you've ever got to the point in your pull-ups where generating the starting energy to initiate the pull feels like you're moving a mountain, then you'll know what I mean. But hold that thought in your mind just for a second, because while most would agree that the hardest part of the pull-up is the topmost bit, where getting our head over the bar can present a real challenge, with enough brute pulling strength, I'd argue that you could pull hard and allow momentum to take you over the bar. Well, at the bottom of a pull-up rep, we don't really have this, particularly if your pull-ups are clean and you drop into a dead hang at the bottom of the rep. It's in this dead hang where we start to see how overhead mobility becomes important, because if we don't have the mobility to go into this position actively, so arms overhead without the back arching, we certainly won't have the strength in this position when we're there passively hanging from a bar. We know we are typically weak in ranges of motion that we cannot access, and so a lack of shoulder flexion mobility will make the start, the bottom part of the pull-up, just that little bit more difficult. By increasing the range I could access, which was actually a happy side effect of my handstand practice, I started to find that I was using far less energy on initiating each rep of the pull-up, because I wasn't fighting against my own inflexible shoulders, which meant that I was hitting those higher numbers and also getting a higher quality of pull-up. Another thing that we need to be doing if we want to increase our pull-up reps is to do more pull-up reps. Now, this may sound like a very dumb thing to say. Oh, just do more reps. Why didn't I think of that? But once many get their first pull-up reps, it can be so exciting to do them without any support or assistance that we just settle for the maximum of 3 reps that we can do in a set. Whereas actually doing something like going back to resistance band work and allowing ourselves to hit the 8, 10, 12 reps that represent higher rep work would be more valuable. Building up capacity with regressions not only bolsters our connective tissue, but improves our capacity for higher reps over the long term through building more muscle. The final thing that I did in order to increase my pull-up reps not only made the biggest difference on my road to tripling my pull-ups, but also increased the size of my lats significantly, and that was training for speed. Now, there's a little bit of a story behind this one, so bear with me. In school, I was a middle distance runner. Anything between 400 and 1500 meters was really my thing. But I was always shocked at how muscly the sprinters were without even trying. Cut to 2020 and all gyms were closed, so I started doing uphill sprints twice a week in order to maintain some sort of muscle and get outside a little bit more. And for the most part, I really did feel like this was working, but I wanted to see if this would translate directly to the upper body. Now, I'm not strong enough to generate the sort of speed or power to quote-unquote sprint with pull-ups. But what I was looking to do was to take the lats from full stretch to deep contraction as fast as possible, as many times as possible. And I needed an exercise that would allow me to do this. Enter the ski machine, and the idea I was going for here was that I was using a pull-up half that directly replicated a pull-up and pulled as fast as I can over a 30-second period. I occasionally added this to the end of my workouts, and this not only directly correlated with the largest increase in my maximum pull-up reps, getting me to those 17 reps, but it also meant that I added a dimension to my training, something that is often overlooked when it comes to the upper body, and that is power, moving a resistance and moving it quickly. If your gym doesn't have this machine, you can always use resistance bands instead. Just make sure that you have enough resistance to make it worth your while. The effectiveness of this exercise was probably the most surprising thing to me, and I feel so much stronger in the pull-up. But this is how I personally made my pull-ups more efficient and level them up to a point where I could do triple what I used to. The next goal that I have for my pull-ups is to increase my weighted pull-ups as I work towards the front lever. So if you want to see what a standard pulling training session looks like for me, then check out this video right here.